Hey guys, how are you? How are you? How are you? Listen, I've been in so many meetings today and I was really pressed and driven to share this with you who are my followers on my YouTube and on my podcast. I really want to have a conversation about when you turn your passion into leadership, when you turn your passion into leadership. I want to start this by saying something very important. Okay. If you've watched or listened to my last few videos or my podcasts, and you thought to yourself, wow, this is a lot for me to do as an executive director, or I didn't realize that starting a nonprofit organization entailed so much. Or if you were thinking to yourself, I had no idea this was all involved in running a nonprofit. I want you to know that you're not failing, okay? You're just waking up. So many people start nonprofit organizations because they care deeply. They see a need, they want to help, they feel called. But what they don't realize, because no one explains it clearly, is that starting a nonprofit means stepping into leadership, not just service. I'm going to say that again. That when you make a decision to start a nonprofit, you are stepping into leadership, not just service. A leader is not the same as running a program. Today, I want to talk directly to those of you who are just now realizing I I didn't sign up to just help people. I signed up to run an organization and I didn't know what that meant. This video is about to be that moment, okay? I hear this all the time. I didn't know that I would have to do all of this to start a nonprofit. I didn't know that I would have to manage money. I didn't know that I would have to build team. I didn't know I had to put together a strategic plan. I didn't know I had to and manage a budget or financials. I didn't know that I had to oversee the mission being accomplished or the program development and design. I didn't know that I had to build relationships externally to the community. I didn't know that I was going to have to learn how to fundraise or understand the concept of fundraising. I didn't know that it was my responsibility to make sure that we had the right people on our board who were equipped, or even that you had to train those individuals to be able to function in their role. For many of you, you're saying, I didn't know I would have to do all of this. I thought that once the nonprofit was started, I could focus on the work. I didn't realize I'd be responsible for all of this. That moment usually comes after you get the grant rejection, or after the board's confusion, or after the financial stress, or after burnout, or watching these videos and realizing, oh, this is bigger than I thought. Here's the truth. No, most nonprofit leaders never trained to be a leader. Most nonprofit leaders were never trained to be leaders. They and you were trained or gifted or have a burden to care. You care about other people. You care about your community. You care about the distress of others. But caring is not the same as leading, right? Why is it that so many organizational leaders are struggling, right? You guys hear me say 87 out of 100 nonprofit organizations struggle financially, struggle with getting enough resources to operate, struggle with getting boards and supporters and contributors. Why is that? This happens largely because the nonprofit world sends a very misleading message. And the message is start a nonprofit, do good work, funding will follow. The mission matters most. But what's missing is the explanation that a nonprofit is a business. The leadership is a role, that organizations require management, that passion alone cannot carry responsibility. So people step into the role thinking that they are program leaders, that they're helpers, that they're advocates, that they're doers, when in reality, they have become executive directors. They've become organizational leaders. They've become financial stewards. They become decision makers. They become risk managers. And that gap is where overwhelm lies, right? That gap is where stress and discouragement lives right there. The distinction between a program manager and an executive director or a CEO, okay? This is the difference that, or the distinction, I think that's going to change your understanding and your perception, okay? A program manager focuses on delivering the service, helping people directly, running the activities, supporting the participants of the program, right? Solving immediate problems. That's the program manager. A program manager asks, are people showing up? Are the services being delivered? Are participants supported? An executive director or the CEO of the organization, however, focuses on building the organization, managing the systems, overseeing the finances, leading the people, governing risk, reporting outcomes, sustaining the mission. The executive director, the founder, the CEO asks the question, can this organization survive? Are there systems in place? Is money managed responsibly? Is leadership clear? Are we fundable and sustainable? Listen, you can love the program and still be responsible for the organization. Let me be very clear, okay? Running a nonprofit organization, starting a nonprofit organization, and then running a nonprofit organization includes setting up financial systems, understanding budgets and cash flow, managing restricted and unrestricted funds, working with a board, ensuring compliance and reporting, planning fundraising strategy, managing staff and volunteers, tracking outcomes and impact, building credibility with funders, preparing for sustainability. None of that is extra. That's the job. The program exists inside the organization, not the other way around. Did you hear what I said? The program exists inside the organization, not the other way around. Here's something that's hard to hear, but it's important. Okay? Passion without structure creates burnout, attracts chaos. It increases the risk to the funder. It hurts your credibility. It leads to funding denials. Not because passion is bad, but because passion does not manage responsibility. Good intentions don't track money, report outcomes. Good intentions don't protect participants or satisfy funders or sustain the operation. Leadership does that. So when you are starting a nonprofit organization, you are the leader, you are the lid, you are the CEO. If you don't know how to perform and to do these functions to ensure that the organization is able to exist, who's over you? Right? I want this to be the real shift. I want this to be a real shift. You are not just someone who wants to help people. You are now a leader of an organization. That doesn't mean you stop caring. That doesn't mean you stop serving. That doesn't mean you stop being connected to the work. It means you learn how to lead. It means you learn how to manage. It means you learn how to delegate. It means you learn how to build the systems within the organization. Leadership is not something you're born knowing, it's something you learn. And it's learning to ensure that you don't fail, right? Learning is growth. And for those of you that are trying to start a nonprofit, you and Cousin Chat, who's writing your mission, who's laying out your fundraising plan, or even your business plan, Cousin Chat, who's coming up with the budget, right? But you are the leader. You are the one that has to execute the plan. You are the one that has to build the team. You are the one that has to set the strategic path. You are the one that has to ensure and assure the community, the funders, that they can trust you with their money. Let me tell you this. If you're realizing that you're running an organization and it feels heavy, right? Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm burdened. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm overwhelmed. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm stuck. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I don't know what to do next. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm doing everything by myself. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm funding everything by myself. You are now realizing this is more than I thought it was. I didn't realize it was going to be all of this. I want you to reframe that thinking. I want you to reframe that thinking. Okay. That's not the end. It's just the beginning of clarity. Now you know why it feels hard. Now you know why funding didn't come easily. Now you know why burnout showed up. Now you know why confusion exists. It's because you were trying to run an organization with a program mindset. I'm going to say that again. You're overwhelmed because you're trying to run an organization with a program mindset. Once that clicks, everything in your organization is going to change. It's going to change. If this has helped you, if this has put to words something that you've been feeling, you're not alone. So many nonprofit leaders start with heart, not training. And that's okay. You started with passion, but no clarity. You started with really great intentions, but no knowledge. That's okay. But staying stuck in the helper role while leading an organization will break you. It's going to break you. You don't need to stop doing good. You need to learn how to manage the responsibility of starting and running a nonprofit. A nonprofit is not just a program, it's an organization that requires leadership. If you're ready to step into that role, not perfectly, but intentionally, then you're exactly where you need to be. Okay. I want you to avail yourself to my trainings, to my tools, my resources. I have 39 years of experience, not just starting, but running nonprofit organizations. I know it's not easy. I know that there are lots of responsibility. I know that there are a lot of balls in the air and things that you got to juggle, right? I'm familiar with all the things that you have to manage many times at the same time, how to delegate and what you have to prioritize to ensure that all the work gets done. In addition to leading with passion, you also have to lead with clarity. You have to lead with intentionality. You have to lead in a way that others will want to follow you, that others can learn from you, that others can emulate. If you are a leader, a nonprofit leader, if you are the executive director, or if you are the CEO, and you don't have responsibility or accountability or a strategy, no one in your organization will either. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to structure it, no one in your organization will do it either. If you don't demonstrate the clarity of direction that you want the organization to go in, no one is going to understand the direction that you want to go in, right? And the donor, the funder, the supporter, the contributor, they are trusting your leadership in managing and sustaining and being viable and visible and accountable as an organization. They're not passionate about your program. They're entrusting their resources into your organization, not your passion for the program. So, for those of you that think that you can start a nonprofit and not know how to run the nonprofit organization, you are deceiving yourself. You are deceiving yourself. Now, I don't have a dog in that fight. It's up to you. It's your organization. But if it's not structured properly to generate revenue, to build relationships, to acquire and to communicate, to delegate, to manage, you are going to fund it by yourself. Now, that's your choice. If that's how you set it up to fund it by yourself, that's how you set it up. That's not how it's structured, however. And your community deserves an organization that is led by a strong leader. You are a community-based organization. The organization is joining you, partnering with you, not your program, but the organization. That they are entrusting you as an organization to be able and capable of meeting a need, not running a program, not having a 501(c)(3) on paper, not operating in passion. No, they are partnering with your organization because they have the confidence in your organization, your leadership's ability to accomplish the mission. Not, I have a mission, but I don't know how to accomplish it. I have a nonprofit, Jen. I got my 501(c)(3), but I don't have a board. I don't have a budget. I don't have financials. I don't have a fundraising plan. I'm stuck and I don't know how to get unstuck. I don't know where to find donors. Funding is my biggest challenge. Jen, I have a program, but I just need money. I just need sponsors. I just need funding. The funder just needs you to be a better leader before they entrust you with their money. They need you as the leader to have a structure within the organization that you can manage and sustain what they've invested in, right? You have a want, they have a want. You need their support, they need you to be able to run this organization. You need them to believe in your work, you need to give them grounds and cause to believe in the work in your organization. When you show up ready, building trust is easy. When you show up with your organization intact, it's not hard to build trust. But when you show up and say, we don't have any funding, I'm doing everything by myself, I don't have a board, I don't have financials, I don't know how to sustain this organization, but I want you to entrust it, your money, to me, that's difficult. That's a hard, large hill to climb. I hope I've painted the picture well. I hope that I've assured you that you're not alone. And I hope that I've given you hope that you don't have to stay where you are. You need to learn. You need to learn. You need to learn how is the organization set up? Not only how is it set up, but you need to learn how to lead the organization. You need to understand what it takes to run the nonprofit, not just start it, but how do you run it? How do you sustain it? How do you ensure that it has a future? Because many of you are running your organizations and it's just you by yourself. And if anything happens to you, the organization is done. That's a hard place for your funders, your donors, your contributors, your would-be partners to entrust their resources into your organization. If you're not a good leader, if you're not a leader of your organization, why should the donor and the funder give your organization their money? You're not a program. You're not leading like you are a program. You are the executive director. You are the CEO. You are the lid. I want you to be educated on not just starting an organization and doing a program. I want you to understand what it takes to run the program and run the organization. My nonprofit startup guide is the only one of its kind on the market. It's mine. You can only get it from me. And it actually lists everything within the nonprofit organization as a structure, as a system that you need to operate. This is learning season. You guys have already gone through trial and error season, okay? Put some clarity to it. Put some structure to it. Put some knowledge behind it. And there's nothing that your organization cannot do in achieving its mission and its purpose of meeting need in your community, solving problem, providing amazing result, and building relationships and trust with those also in your community who have confidence and belief in your organization that you can do within that program what you say you can do. If you can't run an organization, they're not likely to trust you to run a program. If you can't run an organization as the CEO, they're not likely to trust you with their money to run the program. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your takeaways. I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for subscribing and following. And thank you for your interest in serving your community in the real way and in a right way. All right. I'll see you all next time.